All right, today we're going to do a demo for you on a Chevalier 12x24 surface grinder. This is a model FSG 1224AD Roman numeral 2. It's a hydraulic machine. It's currently wired for 460 volts. And as you can see, here is the magnet. We've got a piece on here that's locked in. Now our table is got a ball bearing. We have a ball bearing table. This axis is ball bearing, and this axis is ball bearing, so the whole thing moves around pretty well. This is the hydraulic unit here that connects to the side of the machine with a couple of hoses, and we have a paper band filtration type coolant system here, where the coolant comes out the back of the table into this receptacle, down into this trowel, and then into the filter paper. And as the filter paper gets clogged up, the machine filter will automatically advance the paper. We have above the wheel a dresser on this. The actual feeding up and down of the diamond is done by the operator, but the in and out is done hydraulically. This is the control for the table speed. In the manual mode, we can move the cross slide with this. The down feed would have to be moved with the manual pulse generator if you had it on the right setting, as well as the table. The cross feed also has a fine feed, so that this can be used very carefully up against the shoulder. All right, so our control here, we have a readout on the top that we put in our size that we want to take off, or this could be used to show you in the manual mode. If we have a selector switch here that is your plunge grinding, your surface grinding, hand mode, and then your manual pulse generator, which could be 1x or 10x, different speed rates for this up and down. All right, in this mode, you have a jog to go up and a jog to go down. A rapid button in the center. So you could use that in conjunction with the joy, with the hand wheel here, to come down and touch off your workpiece, and then when you get to where you want to be, you set that to 0. Now your program gets put in here. In this case, this is 20 thousandths, or 2 thousandths, excuse me. So we're going to take 2 thousandths off our part. We're going to take 2 tenths. This is our first increment, our coarse increment. We're going to take 2 tenths off until we're 1/10 away from, or 1/1000th away from final size, and then we're going to switch our increment to 1/10. So we start out at 2 tenths, so we switch to 1/10 at this point. You also can select here from 1 to 9 how many spark out passes you want to make. And this setting here allows you, especially in the plunge grinding mode or slot grinding mode, with a 1 in there, that means every time the table goes back and forth, the wheel's going to feed down. If I put a 3 in there, the table would have to go back and forth 3 complete times before you would feed down. In other words, if you were grinding a slot and you wanted the wheel to catch up, for the grinding to catch up, you didn't want to overload it, you could set this to 3, and it would make 3 or 4 passes, whatever you put in there, before the next down feed. So right now we have the 2 thousandths in there, and I have the 2 tenths here and the 1/10 here, and changeover point at 1 thousandths. Magnet here on and off, and then demag. I showed you this is up and down. Your saddle in the manual mode. You can move the saddle in and out here. And the X's would move your table left and right. I'm going to go ahead and start up the hydraulic pump. It's very quiet. That will give us our over-the-wheel dresser. See how that comes out? As soon as I let go of it, it goes back. And this is adjusting for the speed. And again, your micrometer feed on the top. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start the grinding wheel. We'll get the table moving. Now these are your settings here for the stroke, for how far we're going to go left and right. On the side over here, there's another way to set the dogs for the travel in and out. So if everything is set here, everything is right, then you can put this in, let's say, this is surface grinding mode. Bottom button here is your cycle start. Now the table starts to move automatically, and every reversal it's going to feed down 2/10. That's another 2/10. So this will just go back and forth like that until we get to our final size. You can also select here which direction the machine will park at the end of the cycle, either the left side, which I have it going on, or the right side. This, of course, is your emergency stop. The actual speed of the down feed and speed of the cross feed is adjusted with these knobs here. I could lower this to get a less of a cross feed speed. All right, so we're at 1,008/10. Next feed is going to bring us to our final size. Oh no. Now we're only feeding, there we go. Now we're at the 2,000ths that we've removed from our part, and we're going into our spark out. Now I only have one in there. That means it should go completely back and forth with the saddle, and then the machine will park. And when it parks, the grinding wheel will shut off and the hydraulics will shut off. So that's the end of the cycle. This resets back to 0. The hydraulic pump shuts off and the grinding wheel shuts off. Now in order to do another cycle and start the hydraulics as a safety, you have to shut the valve off here for your table feed. Well, let's say now we want to go to plunge grinding. So I'm going to start my wheel again, start my hydraulics. I'll leave the same program in there, the 2,000s. Now when I start my table going and start the cycle, we're not going to have the saddle moving now because we're doing a slot. We're doing plunge grinding. This is going to go a lot faster. So 2, 4, 6, 8. It's feeding every time. If I didn't want it to feed that fast, that much grinding pressure going down on my workpiece, I could change this number from a 1 to a 3 or to a 2 to slow that grinding process up. So now we're in spark out, and that's the end of the cycle. This is original factory paint. The machine is very quiet, very nice condition. Thank you very much.